What is up, my Pika crew? This is the ThePikaWu and welcome to another black and white Wi-Fi battle. This one's going to be against a guy called Meta Knight XYZ. Be sure to check him out after the match. He does a lot of Pokemon related stuff on his channel, so if you're interested, be sure to support him and subscribe. Now onto the battle. I will be using an underused tier team while my opponent will be using an overused tier team. Now if you guys aren't familiar with my underused tier team already, basically it consists of 5 defensive Pokemon that creates the defensive core, and then a filler Pokemon, which in this case will be a Scrafty. Now the team's strategy revolves on setting up entry hazards and then taking out the opponent's Pokemon passively with entry hazard damage or with my sweeper, which in this case will be a Dragon Dancing Scrafty. Now on my opponent's side, he's got a lot of dangerous threats. He's got Terrakion, which hits very hard with the close combat, especially a Bandit set, and Starmie, because Hydro Pump hits my whole team for neutral or super effective damage except for my Roserade, but my Roserade is weak to Starmie's Psychic type move, so that is also a problem. The last Pokemon that is also a very big threat is going to be that Jirachi, because if it is a Choice Scarf set, Iron Head could be a really big problem because it can flinch my team to death. But I hope you guys enjoy the battle, and yeah, enjoy! So I'm going to lead off with the Roserade, actually anticipating my opponent to lead off with the Hippowdon to try to get up the Sandstorm first turn as well as the potential Stealth Rocks, and this puts me at a really great advantage because I do have the matchup advantage because I can scare him out with a potential Grass type move, and I'm pretty sure he's not going to stay in because it's just way too risky. So I'm going to go ahead and set up 1 layer spikes as he brings in the Heatran to quad resist the anticipated Grass type move, but I actually don't go for the Grass type move. Now, the way that he brings in the Heatran reveals that he's most likely a support set because Roserades do carry Sleep Powder, and it's very risky to bring in a Heatran on a possible Sleep Powder, so the way that he brings it in means that he's not afraid of being put to sleep, which means he's most likely a support set and not an offensive set, like a Life Orb or Choice Spec set. So this is really good information, and it is further confirmed by the fact that he does go for the Lava Plume. And that's why I did stay in and go for the second layer spikes. And looking at the damage of the Lava Plume, I'm pretty sure I can live another one as long as he doesn't get the burn, and I can set up my 3rd layer of entry hazards. But unfortunately for me, he does get the burn, and he does get max damage on the Lava Plume. So unfortunately for me, I am not going to be able to live, and I lose my Roserade early on. This is kind of a disadvantage for me because Tangrowth is a very big threat to my team because I have really nothing that can solidly take it out except for my Roserade because it carries the Sludge Bomb, and now it's going to be a lot harder to take down. Well, I'm going to bring in my Rhyperior here because I know Heatran really can't do much to me because the best thing it can do is probably an Earth Power, but with the Sandstorm, my Rhyperior does get a special defense boost, and I'm free to set up my Stealth Rocks as he brings in the Tangrowth, which for sure has a Sleep Powder, so I really don't want my Rhyperior to be put asleep. The best Pokemon I want to be put asleep is going to be this Hitmontop because the only thing it does is use the Intimidate ability, which I can still use even if my Hitmontop is asleep, and I use it for utility such as Rapid Spinning, but I don't think that's going to be a problem just yet. Now that my Hitmontop is asleep, I either have to burn turns of sleep by staying in, or switch out, and I do decide to switch out to bring in my Umbreon for a couple of reasons. The main reason why is because this Tangrowth might be a subseeding set, and if it does decide to go for a stalling tactic, I can try to break that with my Yawn move, because then I can force the switch from the Tangrowth. And I also have the Heal Bells, so I can remove the sleeping status from my Hitmontop later on if he decides to switch out. Anyways, he's going to bring in the Starmie as I bring in the Umbreon, so this isn't good at all because he can potentially go for the Rapid Spin, and that will remove my spikes and permanently remove them because my Roserade is dead. And because I want to preserve my entry hazards, I am going to make a very big risk by going to the Spiritomb, and luckily for me, I do get the better end of the prediction because had he gone for the Hydro Pump instead of the Rapid Spin predicting my Spiritomb switch in, he could easily 2-hit KO me. But luckily for me, he goes for the Rapid Spin and then the Hydro Pump, so I am able to prevent him from going for the Rapid Spin, and this puts me at a very good situation. So here I go for the Pursuit, actually anticipating the Starmie to switch, but he doesn't switch, so he is going to live with a couple of points of health, and I know he's probably going to go for a move predicting my switch. Hopefully he doesn't go for the Rapid Spin as I bring out my Spiritomb. Luckily for me, he goes for the Ice Beam, and then he's going to get taken down by his own Life Orb, so Starmie's going to be taken out. Now, he's going to bring in the Hippowdon here, and I know it's not a big threat at all because the best thing he can do is either go for the Whirlwind or Stealth Rock, so I'm free to go for the Yawn to put it Drowsy, and then I can try to force some switches as he goes for the Roar. Now, I'm thinking that this Hippowdon probably wants to switch out to prevent itself from falling asleep, and he's probably most likely going to bring in the Heatran, predicting my Will-O-Wisp to try to get the Flash Fire boost. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Rhyperior to counter his Heatran, but he's actually going to bring in the Terrakion here. And this is actually beneficial for me because I might be able to lure him into going for a fighting type move. And I know I can live pretty much any hit from a Terrakion because I am max HP, max defense with a solid rock ability. So even if it is a banded close combat, I can live it. And with that minus defense drop, I can retaliate back with an Earthquake and safely 1-hit KO him with the Earthquake. And this is exactly what happens. I do live the close combat and he is not going to live my Earthquake. So immediately in the beginning of the match, he's going to lose two of his biggest threats, his Terrakion and his Starmie. And this puts me at a very, very good position. Now my opponent's going to bring in the Jirachi, and the way he brings it in, as if he is going to try to revenge kill me, kind of hints that he's most likely an offensive set and not a defensive set. He's probably going to go for the Iron Head to try to take me out with a couple of Iron Head flitches, so I'm going to go ahead and conserve my Rhyperior for later and bring in my Hitmontop to get the Intimidate off and to take pretty much the Iron Heads. But he actually predicts my switch and he goes for the U-turn to get the switch initiative. The fact that he carries the U-turn does reveal that he is an offensive set and most likely a Choice Scarf set, and he is going to bring in the Tangrowth. And like I said before, because my Roserade is dead, I have nothing that can really hurt this Tangrowth since most of my Pokemon are defensive Pokemon or physical attackers, so this is going to be very troublesome. And I didn't really think it through when I sacked my Roserade early on, but yeah, this Tangrowth is going to be a lot of trouble, but the one thing I can do is try to break its stalling tactics by bringing my Umbreon to go for the Yawn, because if he is a sub-seeding set or a lead seeding set, I know I can break through his strategy by attempting to put him to sleep. And if he is put to sleep, then it's going to be a lot easier to deal with, so that's why I went for the Yawn there, and he is going to switch into the Jirachi as I go for the Yawn, predicting the second switch. But that was a really good play on my opponent's part, because if he goes into his Jirachi on a Yawn, he can just U-turn out, which either will deal super effective damage against my Umbreon or give my opponent switch initiative. So here he's gaining a lot of momentum, and this is a lot of trouble for me. So I'm going to bring in Scrafty on the anticipated U-turn because I know it can handle both the Tangrowth and the Hippowdon to a certain degree. I know it can at least take a couple of hits from both of those Pokemon, so it is the best matchup and the best Pokemon to bring in on a U-turn. And he is going to bring in the Tangrowth, and Tangrowth is a problem because, like I said, I have really nothing to hit it hard. The best thing I can hit it with is a Life Orb High Jump Kick, and it should do a good amount of damage, but this Tangrowth is physically defensive most likely, and it is probably going to take it decently. So I am first going to stay in, deal some damage with the High Jump Kick, mainly because I was actually anticipating him to go for the Lead Seed first before going for the Giga Drain, and then I could switch out after he goes for the Lead Seed. But luckily for me, I do get the critical hit, and this puts me in an optimal situation because he either has to sack his Tangrowth here, or he has to switch out into another Pokemon to take the High Jump Kick, and he really doesn't have anything to take a High Jump Kick, so I am going to go ahead and just go for another hit as he brings in the Hippowdon, which should get 2-hit KO'd after the Entry Hazard damage. And yeah, it looks like it's going to be a solid 2-hit KO, but he does carry the red card that forces a switch. He's actually going to force me into the Umbreon, and Umbreon with the foul play is a guaranteed KO against this Hippowdon, so I am just going to go for it and take it out. Do get another critical hit here, but this one doesn't matter. The first one on the Tangrowth did matter, and that was very important because it put me at a very optimal situation. But because he did switch out, that is a very smart play on my opponent's part. He does get regenerated with the Tangrowth, so that was definitely a good trade-off to sack his Hippowdon to regenerate his Tangrowth. So now I'm just going to go for the Yawn to try to stall this Tangrowth because I know if I put it to sleep then it's more manageable. But the problem is it also does force a switch, and if he does switch out, he is going to recover more HP. So that was actually counterproductive, and that was definitely a misplay on my part. So I am just going to go ahead and go for the foul play just to deal some damage. Hopefully he does stay with the Tangrowth, but he doesn't. And he is going to bring in the Heatran. So Heatran does resist the hit, and because it doesn't really have the greatest physical attack, my foul play wouldn't be doing much at all. So I know this Heatran isn't really big of a threat because I know I can live both the Lava Plume and the Earth Power, and I should be able to recover up with the Moonlight, but I totally forgot about the fact that because he has a sandstorm up, the Moonlight is only going to recover a quarter health. So that is not necessarily beneficial for me. Actually, that hurts me a lot because now that he's poisoned me, I am not going to be living too long with Umbreon, and I don't want to stay in for many turns because the toxic damage is definitely going to be racking up. So here, this is the moment I went for the Moonlight to recover health, and this was the moment I realized I only recover a quarter health in the Sandstorm, and that was also another misplay on my part because I didn't recover as much as I hoped for. So he is going to bring in the Tangrowth again, and Tangrowth is a pain because I don't have anything that can hurt it badly, especially because he has recovery moves like Giga Drain and Leech Seed. It's going to be very, very difficult to take down this Tangrowth. So my only chance to take it down is really set up with my Scrafty, hopefully get a Dragon Dance up, and then I should be set. But he is a problem to deal with because in this certain situation when it's Umbreon versus Tangrowth, I really don't have any options. The best thing I can go for is the Yawn, and even then the only thing it does is just force out a switch and nothing really else. So he's probably going to switch here, and I'm going to bring in my Rhyperior, anticipating him to bring in his Heatran, but he actually brings in his Jirachi. And that's fine because I know I can take a couple of Iron Heads since I am max HP, max defense, and he's more likely going to go for the U-turn, anticipating me to switch out. So that's why I'm going to stay in to take that anticipated U-turn, and then go for the Dragon Tail to shuffle around his team. And this works out great because I am going to get more entry hazard damage on that Jirachi, and that is very good to have. But he does bring in the Tangrowth on the Dragon Tail, which is a very smart play because since the Tangrowth does have the Regenerator ability, it's not really losing too much HP from the entry hazard and Dragon Tail damage because you're recovering it back when he gets shuffled out. So as I go for the Dragon Tail, it brings in the Jirachi again, and this time I know he's going to go for the Iron Head to try to just deal super effective damage to take down my Rhyperior. So I can take advantage of that and bring in my Hitmontop to get the Intimidate ability off, and that will make his Iron Heads not do much damage at all. And because he's not doing much damage, I'm thinking he probably wants to switch into another Pokemon that can hit harder. So that's why I bring in my Spiritomb, anticipating him to bring in either his Tangrowth back in or his Heatran. Unfortunately for me, he stays in, and that was a pivotal turn because since he got damage on my Spiritomb, this means that my Spiritomb is pretty much dead since it is very slow. It's really has no chance of recovering up with the rest anymore, and it is my only solution to his Tangrowth because I have the curse on my Spiritomb, and it can be used as a last resort suicide move to try to take down the Tangrowth. But because my Spiritomb is at a low amount of health, I have to switch out. I do switch out into my Hitmontop, and that does get critted, and it is going to die. That was also very pivotal because having Hitmontop alive is definitely useful with the Intimidate ability, and it definitely is a useful Pokemon to have since it does carry rest if it is also at a low amount of health. So this Jirachi is now posing a very big threat. Even at -2 attack, its Iron Heads are dealing enough damage to a point where if he gets enough flinches, he can potentially sweep my team because my Rhyperior is going to get flinched 3 or 4 times and it's going to die. I'm going to bring in my Umbreon. It is poisoned, and if he does get flinches, along with the Iron Head damage and the poison damage, I won't be surviving for too long either. So this is very, very bad because turns out, you guys will see what happens, but basically this Jirachi is just going to continuously go for the Iron Head, and I really have no other options but hope that he doesn't flinch me. But in this battle, I'm just going to break it to you guys, he flinches me the whole time, and I won't be able to get damage off, and he is going to be able to take down the rest of my team. So that is going to be the match. I hope you guys enjoyed the battle. Jirachi is just a dangerous threat. Even at -2 attack, it is able to sweep or go for a mini sweep and take down the rest of my team. So hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys enjoyed, feel free to leave a like, a favorite, and a comment. And yeah, if you guys haven't joined the PikaCrew already, you can join the PikaCrew by subscribing. So this is the ThePikaWu. Thank you for watching my battle, and stay tuned for the comment question of the day. Peace.